So how you can build a proper app or a website with proper implementation of processes, which probably these big companies and organizations are doing for building their apps and websites. What are the things you have to keep in mind while going through this development process and while building this app or a website which can solve a real world problem and can help people into their day-to-day lives. So either you want to build an app which will be published on an app store or a Play Store, or you want to build a website which will be deployed and will be live on internet. I will try my best to give you step-by-step guide about how the process of building an app or a website works and what are the key factors you have to keep in mind so that whatever you are thinking to build can potentially serve millions and can impact people's lives on a daily basis. Hi, my name is Darshan and I provide software development services to the businesses and professionals. I have almost 2 years of experience now in building the professional apps and websites. So I have a decent experience that how this process of building works, and I will try my best to give you all the things I have learned throughout these years so that you can push out your idea to the world. So if you are looking for someone to build a system or a product for your organization who can do this thing feasibly and efficiently, then you can visit this link and I can be a solution for you to build and to help you to grow and scale your business to the next level. And if you are someone who want to actually build this product by coming into the software development field, then this video can be a solution for you. So stay tuned and keep watching. So before we move to the steps to discuss that how to build an app and website, I have to discuss some important points which you have to keep in mind before going to any of these processes. In my last 2 years of experience of building a software product, I have gone through some bold issues and errors which I eventually learned that why they were coming because of lack of some knowledge and because of some things which I didn't understand at the start. So I want you to be absolutely clear with all these points and then move forward in building process. So the first is that programming language is just a tool. Now many of you who are watching this video have heard this term software development mostly in their colleges or maybe in their practicals and all that stuff. And mainly in colleges, what the people have told that you have to focus on programming language in order to become a good software developer. And that's not 100% true. Surely in the college you have semesters, you need to score good marks. So for that you memorize the syntax of any programming language which are there in the syllabus. And for that thing it works there. But in the real world, while building a software product, the focus is always that the product should be built efficiently in a minimal cost in a least possible time. And programming language is just a tool which is used to build that product. And for any developer, knowing the core concepts of programming language is most important than being stick to the one language. So if you talk about any programming language, it's all about loops, functions, variables, conditional statements, and some more things which you eventually learn while developing on that language. And there are some good websites on the internet which programming communities have built to make your lives easy, such as Stack Overflow, Stack Exchange, and there are many more. So my key point here is to make you understand that focus on what is the core of any programming language. Focus on how it is working at a core level of a computer. And if you understand that and if you get it cleared out, then no matter which language comes in front of you, you can easily take it out and you can easily figure it out in the least possible time. Now second is first version will be buggy. Now there is a saying in a software field all over the world that no software is perfect despite being refined multiple times. And these big companies like Google and Facebook also have bugs in their softwares on which they constantly work to fix it and to make it more feasible and more efficient. So let's consider an example that you have an idea of building an app and you completely build it, and next day you published it, and after 2 days you realize that there are some major bugs in your apps which are unfixed or maybe which you didn't realize while in the development process. So this thing will happen often when you start with your development journey. You have to keep this thing in mind that is okay at the starting. When you repeat this process of building a software, you will eventually get an experience that what are the bugs which you have to fix in the development part only. So just keep this thing in mind that no matter whatever product you build with whatever refinement and whatever perfection, there will be something which will be left unfixed and you will eventually realize it and you have to fix it in the next cycle of a development. Third is importance of SDLC. So SDLC stands for System Development Lifecycle, and this thing I learned firstly into my graduation in one of the subject. SDLC is a global standard to build any software product, and almost all companies all over the world use it or some part of it in their development cycle. So my suggestion here is to read about it on a Google and just make it clear out before starting anything, because it is so important that once you get it cleared out, then many of your doubts about any software building process will be get solved. And if you want to go deep into it, I will give you the links of 2 books in the description of this video and the article which I found very useful about SDLC, so you can also go through it. Now fourth is knowing about version controlling. So let me tell you a short story. Initially when software products were developed and when the software development field was getting into boom, software developers realized this very small but very crucial problem, that they have no solution or thing to maintain or to keep account of the versions of a software. So what it simply means that there was no track of any software version which was get developed laterally, that as they're making the changes into their software and as that software is getting better and better, they realize that they have completely no track of the changes they made recently or in the past. So this was a big problem into the industry, and then the software community came with a solution called as Git. So Git came as a solution which was able to keep the track of all the software versions or all the software changes which developer used to make in their software products. With that, the major problem of an industry was solved, and that's the thing which you will also use in your development phases. Once you build an app, for the next version of that app, you have to keep the track of the older version, so that if something important in the older version needs to be used, then you can instantly get back to that version and can use that. So that is important, and I will just suggest you that go to Google and search about Git, GitHub and Bitbucket. Just learn about these things and learn about some Git commands and what is GitHub and how you can use it into a software development cycle. So now let's start with the meat part of this video, and that is the steps to build the app or a website. How you can actually step by step create your idea into a reality. The first thing is idea, and everything starts with an idea. So idea can be anything, can be any problem which you've realized or you found out around yourself or you faced in your life. So it can be anything, but you have to just make sure that it is actually a problem that is existed in a real world and not something fictional that your mind has made up, because that's how you can calculate that whatever you are thinking to build will actually reach out to huge audience and can eventually become big. And just keep this thing clear in your mind that whatever we are thinking to build is with the perspective of people first and then with yours. Second step is applicability and feasibility. Now, if you rectify that whatever your idea is actually a real world problem, then subconsciously all around you people are facing that problem. It's just that they don't realize it. And now with this product that you are thinking to build, you have to explain them that there is a problem which existed and you have built a product or a solution for it. And that's how you can explain them that how this product can help them into their day-to-day lives and how can your product makes their life easy. So the best way I can prefer you is that go to 5 people which you think can give you a best possible solution and just discuss your idea with them. And if they give you a green tick with your idea, then you can go ahead. Step number 3 is to rectify differentiation in value. Now, whatever product and services you see around you are actually providing a distinct and unique value with their product, and that's why people are using it into their day-to-day lives and sometimes paying for it. With providing a solution, it is equally important that you provide some kind of value which is unique into the market, and that's how you can predict that your product and service will reach to the huge audience and can potentially become big. So you just have to figure out the distinct value that your product can give, and that value is hard to replace and irreplaceable in some cases. Step number 4 is to figure out that is it a long-term solution. And now whatever product you are thinking to build, you just have to think this, that how long you are thinking to be with that product. That means that how scalably you are approaching that product idea and how you think that product can grab a huge market in the future, maybe 5 to 10 years down the line. And that's how you can make this clear that this product will bring a huge solution to the market and can eventually become big. So just keep this clear in your mind that whatever you're thinking to build is actually scalable in a digital or in an online way and has a futuristic approach in terms of development. So the 5th step is designing and prototyping. Now from this step you can say that actual development of a product starts, but just keep this thing clear that without figuring out and without validating last 4 steps that I just mentioned, if you start with this process directly, then no doubt probably you will build your product and you will finish it, but eventually you will realize that to validate and to clear out that 4 steps that I mentioned are actually more important than building the product itself. So just keep this thing in mind that whatever you're thinking to build, just clear out the last 4 steps I mentioned and then move forward. So now in this part, you basically build a blueprint of whatever you're thinking to build, either an app or a website. So you just design a blueprint of it, that how it will look, what colors you will use, what design pattern you will use, what will be the structure of your product or service. If it's an app, how the control flow of an app will work. If it's a website, then which part of a website will be positioned at which part of a page. These all things are need to be cared and needs to be discussed in this part. So you have to figure out all these things, and once you get it cleared, you will have a rough prototype of whatever you're thinking to build. And because it is visually displayed now and it is visually available, then it will be easy for you to build the product much easily than figuring out each step at the point. So 6th step is logic building and developing. And at this point of the video, you maybe realize that just knowing about a programming language which you have learned in your college or maybe people have told you is not completely true. Before writing a single line of code, you have to actually figure out all these things that I mentioned if you are building or working on an actual product. So in this part of the video, you actually work on a logic of a product and write a code onto it to make it work that way. So it's all about coding, and the programming language or a technology you will use is completely dependent upon the tech stack you're using to build the product. As I said earlier, that programming language is just a tool. This step satisfies it that no matter whatever programming language you use, it's all about the tech stack you will use, and based on that the programming language is selected. For example, suppose you are working on an Android app, then XML and Java are the things you have to go with. Suppose you are working on an iOS app, then Swift language is there which you have to work on. Suppose you are working on a website, then depending upon a tech stack, there are many tech stacks which works on a JavaScript language. There are some tech stack which works on a Java language. Then there is HTML and CSS for the front end. So no matter whatever you're thinking to build, once you decide that okay, this is the product I want to build and this is the tech stack I will use to build it, then the part of which language I will use or which language needs to be learned, that part comes later after figuring out these two steps. So I hope you have the clear idea that how these things work and what are the real world challenges you have to face while developing any product. So the next step is debugging, and this is the most tedious and time taking process of entire development cycle. And while going through the development phases, you will spend most of your time in this step only, but it's unavoidable. You have to just go through it. There is no way to skip it out. So in this step, you will check and correct all the minor details, no matter small or big. You will check entire code and each line of a code that it is working perfectly as you want it, and the code is compatible in terms of scalability aspect and the future development aspect. So everything related to any problem which possibly can come, you have to just go through it, and obviously this thing becomes more and more perfect as you get more experience in the development. But you have to just make this clear that every line of code you have written is working the way you want it. One more weird thing that you will realize after getting some of the experience of development, that this step of the development cycle and the last phase, that is the programming and logic building, you will jump multiple times from this step to the previous step, and from previous step again come to the debugging. So it is like a small loop cycle, and you will spend much more time of your development phase into these two steps only. So next is testing. And testing is itself a complete different field in which one can pursue its career. So I probably feel that not any video or any course can explain you the complete testing, and you have to go through all the books and all the materials to understand the complete testing phase. And one can actually build the career in just the testing. So it's a complete big thing. And if you try to check and see, these big MNCs and these big companies has the complete different section just for testing. Basically, there are people they hire not to develop a code, but to just test the code which is developed by a developer. So it's actually a big thing, and no matter how much you know about testing, there is always something left, and you have to just keep updating yourself. But in the sense of this development cycle and on the personal level, there are basically two types of testing. One is alpha testing and second is beta testing. These two testings are mostly famous worldwide and are used by every single software development team, every single software company. So you can also use it. You can search about it on Google and read some articles or watch some videos about it, that how to perform these two types of testing on whatever you have built, and you can easily figure it out. One more thing which is important in testing with alpha and beta testing is that now you have to think as a third person perspective, which has no technical background and have no sense of any kind of technicalities about whatever you have built. So you have to think with that perspective, and then you have to use your app or service, and then you have to figure out that what are the possible use cases one can perform onto my service, and when they use my service with that use case, how my service reacted and how my service performs on that use case. So you have to just make this thing clear, and after making sure each and everything is working perfectly, then you can move to the next step, which is making resources ready for explanation. Now in this step, 90% of part is done of your development, and your product and service is almost ready with its final build and ready to push out to the world. So now in this phase, you have to create the resources to explain your product or service to the people, to the general people or to the people who don't have any technical knowledge. Because your goal with this product is to explain your product or service in a simple and most easiest language, so that anyone can understand it and can use it. So you can create videos, you can create images, you can create textual content, basically anything which explains your product or service in the easiest form possible. This step is important to get more footsteps onto your product, and you can also say this as a part of marketing of your product. So with this step, just get ready with all the resources, all the nitty-gritty details. So the next step is, and probably the most awaited step, is publishing and deployment. So yeah, it's a great feeling that the idea which came into your mind is now actually exists, and with months of efforts and brainstorming, you have finally built it and now you're presenting it to the world. So it's a great feeling. So now what you want to do is just share this news with people that you can possibly reach out. Share it onto all social media handles and possibly everywhere, so that people can know that you have did something incredible. And after this point, your job for that particular version of the product is done. But with this full stop, the next part of your job starts. Remember, I told you earlier that first version will be always buggy despite all debugging and all testing and all these efforts. And no matter you agree with it or not, it's there and you have to eventually go through it. And that takes us to the next and last phase of the development cycle, and that is focusing on feedback and planning for next version. So from this point, your focus will be on what people are saying about your product and what are their experience about using your product. Maybe there are few users who will tell you the new ideas that you can implement to the next version of the product, and maybe some users will report you some bugs which maybe you have left out while developing the product, and there may come some types of errors which are kind of a special case that they were unable to realize in the development phase. And after some days of releasing your product, you will eventually realize this thing. So collect all that stuff, document it properly, and start thinking about the next version of your product. And that's how you can again go to that first step. And that's how this development cycle works. And not just for me, it's almost same for each and every development community, every development organization, and every engineer who is working on a software product. So as you do this process cycle again and again, your product will start getting refined more and more, and eventually it will get to the point where it is almost perfect and worth using by many people. So I wish you best of luck. So these were all the important points and steps that I learned with my experience, and I loved it to share it with you all. And if you are working on any type of app or website which is meant to be used by users, then I think these steps are irreplaceable and you have to go through it. And maybe there are some more steps which I left or which didn't came into my experience till now. So you can search about it more and can learn more, and that's how you can become better and better into this development field. And if you are watching this video till this point, then I'm pretty much sure that you are excited and you are actually ready to work on a software product and build your career onto the software field. And I just want to tell you that, and it's a bold statement, that after knowing and getting all these steps and things clear, and after building the required skill set and all the required things which are needed to be in the development, just take that first step and start building. You will sometimes feel weird or maybe sometimes feel little bit overwhelmed by all these things, but as you work on it day by day, everything will get cleared and you will get your own set of experience in the development field, which will be unique, and probably you will share it one day with people, and I will be more than happy to view it. And also comment down below this video that what you have learned from this video and how it added a value to your current knowledge, and give love to this video by liking it and share it with your friends and family. And that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Namaste. Solo quiero disfrutar tu compañía.